Okay, I think I'll get started. Welcome everyone to the Ask Findable webinar. I'm Eivind Kjosbakken, and I'll be talking about the Ask Findable feature, which is a feature that we have here in the Findable platform, which allows you to get answers from your building. So I'll just start off by briefly talking about my background. I'm the data science lead at Findable, so I'm in charge of the AI efforts here. And part of the data science team responsibility is to work on this Ask Findable feature, which allows you to ask questions to your building, and you can get rapid responses back. And so I'm working on the AI and automation, and I've been working on machine learning for around 5 years, both as a consultant within research and now in Findable, which is a startup. So what is Ask Findable? So Ask Findable is a functionality that we have in the Findable platform where you can ask natural language questions to your building. So you can ask questions directly. Let's see if this slide can stay there. And then you can ask questions directly to your building, like what floor do we have fire drawings for, which you can see is asked here. And you can get very rapid responses back with our AI. So what we do when we see your question is that we have the AI find the most relevant documents to your question. So in this case, that would be the fire drawings. We then feed all of these documents to a large language model, which is able to provide your response to your question. And this allows you to get rapid responses to questions that in many cases would have taken you hours to find manually. So in a lot of buildings that we see here in our platform, there's thousands of documents. We have lease contracts, we have different construction drawings, we have systems describing the air handlers in the building, and there's just a lot of documents. And of course, if you were to look through this as a human manually, it would take hours and hours to process. But with the Ask Findable feature, you can get much, much faster responses. So you can ask pretty simple questions to your building, very direct questions like, what is the capacity of our ventilation system? How many leases are in the building? But for some inspiration, I also want to highlight some more advanced questions that you can ask your building. And one of these questions are, you might be interested in the energy rating of the building. So buildings will typically have an energy performance certificate, and you might be interested in what's causing the poor energy rating in our building and how much would it cost to fix it. And so I say this is a more advanced question because if you were to try and answer this question as a human, we would have to look through a lot of documents. You would, of course, have to find the energy certificate rating document, but you would also have to find all of the documents affecting the energy rating, right? This could be the boilers, documentation about the boilers, it could be the lighting system, and a lot of other factors. So if you were to try and answer this as a human, it would take a long time to first find all of these documents, read through them, have all of the context in mind, and then try to answer the question. But with Ask Findable, it can find all of these documents automatically and immediately, and then start answering the question. Another thing you can ask is, are there any maintenance issues that affect our insurance? And this is also a more advanced question that you could ask, because you would have to find, of course, the insurance document describing the terms of the insurance, but you would also have to find all of the documents relevant to that. That could be the alarm system in the building, fire escape routes, it could be maintenance records for a lot of the components in the building. And it's just a lot of information to process. And AI is really good at finding all of this information and processing it, and then using all of that context to answer your question, which is part of what makes Ask Findable so powerful. You could also ask something about compliance, which is a very interesting topic. So what compliance deadlines am I facing, and what do I need to do? So, of course, the main core capability of Ask Findable is that it's a question answering system. You can put in a question about the maintenance records, for example, and you can have Ask Findable go through documents and give you a response. But we also have additional capabilities. We have a workflow functionality, which Ask Findable is integrated with, which allows you to extract a series of metadata fields for a series of documents. And I'll show you how Ask Findable integrates with our workflow functionality. We can also do web search, so we can search the internet for additional context. We can do keyword search, which in many cases are a good way to find a set of documents. We have a deep thinking ability where we tell our model to think for longer. So it takes a bit longer to get a response, but you'll get higher quality responses in return. We also have a report generation feature where you can generate reports from your findings. So now I'll move on to the actual demo, where I'll show our platform and showcase this Ask Findable functionality. So if you're interested, you can scan the QR code and get in touch with us. And of course, you can find me on LinkedIn there as well with my name. So let's move on to our platform. So what you're seeing now is the Findable platform. And I've moved to the Ask Findable page where you can ask questions. And you'll see that we give you some question examples, so which upgrades maximize ROI, the maintenance schedule. Feel free to ask these questions, of course, but I first want to start off by talking a bit about energy certificates and similar. So you might want to ask a question such as, what is the energy certificate rating of the building? So of course, if you were to try and find this as a human, you would have to look through a lot of documents, but the AI is, of course, much faster at this. You can see the AI is updating its current status. It's finding relevant documents. It's reading through them, and then, of course, understanding your question and providing a response. So here you can see we have a pretty concise answer. The rating is D, which is found in the energy performance certificate. And you can see it's cited here. And yeah, you got a rapid response to your question. And I also want to highlight the citations feature in Ask Findable, because of course AI is great at providing responses fast, right? But we're still not there at a point where we don't want to verify responses. You still want to make sure the AI found the right document and gave you the correct response. And that's where the citations come in. So citations, which you can see it's citing throughout the answer, allows you to see which documents the AI has looked through to answer your question. And you can even see the exact portions of the document that it looked through. So here you can see that the current rating is D. It's pointed here, and it's marked out. You can also view it in the document. So you can see that the rating is D here in this document. And this is incredibly powerful because AI is great at finding the questions, but we still want this step of human review. And that's what citations allows you to do. And to understand even more of what the AI is doing and thinking, you can look at the thinking process. So this is the part of where the AI thinks about your question and how to answer it. You can read about that here, and you can also find all the relevant documents that the AI found. Now, we can move on to more advanced questions, like I showcased earlier. We can ask something like, what is causing the poor energy rating? And how much would it cost to fix it? So now we have the AI, of course, look through the certificate rating document, but also all other relevant documents that could be linked to this question. And you can see it's again updating the status. We're seeing how far along it is. The building D rating is mainly due to inefficient systems, leaky fabric, and lack of renewables. So of course, immediately you get a super concise answer, and you have a better understanding of what's causing the current energy rating. So we can see we have some old and inefficient boilers, 82% efficiency, which is below some standards. We should probably upgrade those. Inefficient cooling, inefficient lighting systems. And so you get a ton of ideas for what you can improve in this building. And you can also ask what would it cost to fix it, and it would give you all the costs and relevant pieces of information that you might want to have if you want to consider improving your energy rating. And I want to highlight this because, of course, you have a building. It could have thousands of documents, and those documents will typically contain the insights or information that you need to make a decision. The problem, however, is that this information is hidden among thousands of documents. So in practice, you're not able to have access to this information because it's hidden in some obscure document which you simply can't find as a human. And that's where Ask Findable comes in. It allows you to much quicker get access to this information and different building insights. And with these insights, you can make much better decisions. So we're essentially giving you access to your information about your building. Another feature I want to highlight is that we have the memory feature. So this is basically a feature where you tell the AI about yourself and your preferences, and it will adapt its answers. So you could say something like, my name is Eivind, and I prefer to see overviews as tables instead of bullet point lists. And the AI will remember my preference. So if I now take this question and try and answer it again, or ask it again, you'll see how the AI adapts its response based on your preferences. So again, the AI has to find the answer to this question. So it's looking through all the relevant documents, thinking and reasoning about the answer. And here you can immediately see the AI is adapting its response. So now it starts responding more with tables, which I prefer. I think tables gives a better overview and makes it easier to read the responses. So this is a very powerful feature where the AI remembers your preferences. And so that's great. And we can move on now. We can, for example, ask a bit of a different question. We could ask something like, how many lifts are in the building? This is often very important. You want to look at the lift maintenance records or something similar. So let's see how the AI will answer this question. And it's struggling a bit with the thinking. There we go. So you can see the AI is processing. We're checking if web search is relevant to your response. In this case, web search is not relevant. As you can see, the AI didn't do a web search because it doesn't need to do a web search to find out how many lifts are in the building. And you can see there's 2 lifts in the building. Which lifts you have? Very concise and good response. You can, again, of course, always refer to the citations. So you can see where it found its information. You can see Otis was referenced. You can see the lift maintenance schedule. And you have access to all of that information. Another point I want to highlight is the suggested follow-ups. So not only can you ask the questions you want to ask, but we also generate relevant questions you might want to ask, so you don't have to think about them always yourself. For example, after asking how many lifts are in the building, it's very relevant to know what do the maintenance documents say about each lift. So analyze the maintenance documents. So you can, of course, use those suggested follow-up questions. And then I want to move on to talk about another very important topic for a lot of asset managers and organizing and handling and managing buildings, and that is lease contracts. So you often, or we find that many customers and buildings have a lot of lease contracts on them, and of course you want to be able to find those lease contracts. So what you could do is you could say something like, find my leases. Find all the lease contracts that I have in the building. And you'll see that AI is immediately referring to something called keyword search. And what I want to highlight here is how Ask Findable is not only its own feature, it's integrated with the other features in the Findable platform. So keyword search is another feature that we have in the platform. And you can see the search query that it suggests here. So in this instance, to find a collection of documents, we think it's better to use something called a keyword search, which basically looks through all your documents and looks for this exact keyword, leases or lease. And you can see we successfully find all 20 leases that are present in the building. So this is a very quick way of finding the documents you're looking for. And Ask Findable isn't only trying to answer your questions, it's looking at your question, it's trying to understand your question. It moves on to assessing which findable tool is best suited to answer your question. Sometimes it can just answer itself, the AI. Other times it's going to refer you to another feature we have in the Findable platform and do it for you. So it automatically knows what's the best tool to answer your question. And let's ask a more advanced lease contract question. So I need to extract some information from my lease contracts. Can you find the lease commencement dates? How much rent is being paid per lease? We can find the address of the leased building, and perhaps we want to find the name of the person leasing. So this is just an example of what you can ask. You can, of course, find many other points or metadata points that you want to extract. And what you can see here now is that we're suggesting the workflows feature. So workflows is another findable feature that is clearly integrated into the Ask Findable. So workflows allows you to extract a series of fields or metadata from a series of documents. And I'll show you how it works quickly. This has been a topic of one of our previous webinars, which you might want to check out. But you can generate a workflow here. So you can see it automatically said, extract key lease information, such as lease commencement date, rent amount, currency. And it automatically generates all of the fields you want to extract. So you can update this list, edit if you want to. But you can see that the AI automatically generates this for you. So you don't have to make all of this yourself. And we can create a workflow. So here we have the different questions. And you can add documents. I'm going to select the building I'm currently working in and the lease contracts or lease agreements. And we're going to add them. And you can run workflow. Now, running a workflow takes a few minutes, as is highlighted here. So that's because it's extracting a lot of fields from a lot of documents, as you can see here. So it's going to take a little while. And what I did is that I ran it previously, so we can just quickly show you the results that you would have gotten. So we found all of the lease commencement dates, all the rent currencies. In some situations, there are several possibilities for the correct answer, in which case we show you in prioritized order, and you get to pick which one is correct. So this is another incredibly powerful feature that Ask Findable has access to. So if Ask Findable recognizes that, yeah, the user is asking a question that the workflows functionality is best suited for, we will suggest that to you. So I'll also lastly talk a bit about insurance. So insurance is a very relevant topic. We have, of course, the insurance document covering the terms of the insurance agreement. And of course, you probably have a lot of documents related to this agreement. So you could ask something like, are there any maintenance issues that affect our insurance? And also notice how it doesn't matter if you have small typos in your questions. The AI is gonna understand it anyways, and you can correct them, of course, but you don't have to. So this is a very interesting questions to get answers to. You can see that we're responding in tables again, as that's the way I preferred to have answers provided to me. And so here, let's see some maintenance issues. We have overdue asbestos reinspection. That's something we have to check out. We have the basement escape route blocked by storage. Definitely something we should check out. and some improvements that we can make, and so on. And you can see all of the relevant documents on the side here, and so on. So you can also ask, how can I reduce my insurance premium, which could be interesting. And again, the AI will look through the relevant documents, both the ones found with the last question, and try to find new documents relevant to your question. In this case, it suggests doing web search. I'm not interested in it here, but the AI would be able to do that. Search online for potential ways to achieve this. I just wanted to look through my documentation and look for possibilities for reducing my insurance premium. We can install a leak detection systems, as you can see, or we have in general 3 main ways: implement insurer recommended improvements, improve risk and claim history, and complete key compliance items. And of course, now we generate a lot of useful information. So you can of course read through it in this throughout this thread. You will always have access to the thread history, so you can go back to the questions that you've asked and yeah, look through it. So of course you can check out the citations here for where did the AI find this piece of information? Is it correct? Did it look at the correct text? And all of this interesting information, which is incredibly important. It's super important to be able to verify the responses that the AI comes out with. So the citations feature is one of my favorites because I'm able to verify that the responses are correct, basically. Look through the right documents and so on. And I also want to highlight 2 other tools that we have. We have the deep research tool, which I told you about. It's going to be quite similar to the current experience. It's just going to think for a bit longer and thus provide a bit higher quality responses. So if you want to make that trade-off, spend more time, get higher quality responses, you can activate this. And you can also generate reports. So you can generate a PDF report, for example. And this is very interesting because now the AI will look through the entire thread. It will summarize it into a report with citations as well. So you can send this onwards to whoever needs this piece of information. And I'm not going to finish it now, but this is definitely something you could do. You can download the report and you can send it onwards. And then finally, I just want to highlight how you can also, you have this document. You can also individually ask questions to documents. So you can say, summarize this document. So you can ask questions directly to this document. Instead of having to manually look through the document, you can basically have the AI look through it for you and answer questions. And you can see here we have a summary of this document, and this is very useful. And you can also access this feature through adding files directly, either through browsing your existing files or uploading new files. So that's about it. I'm gonna check if there are any questions. So the language for a question in Findable is only English. No, you can have it in Norwegian and English currently. So you can just change the user setting, and you'll get it in the answer in the language that you're looking for, if you want it in Norwegian. So I'm simply having it in English here because the webinar has English-speaking people attending. And then I'm going to look through the chat. And let's see. And that's will you eventually be able to use Ask Findable on portfolio and not just buildings? That's a great question, Martin. Portfolio level chat, as we call it, is on our roadmap and is basically our highest priority right now with Ask Findable. So you will be able to ask questions to your portfolio or simply multiple buildings. So we're definitely working on that, and you can basically just select the buildings you want to ask questions to, Martin, and you'll be able to get answers to them. So what happens if my rent has increased and is no longer the one in the lease? So Ask Findable will look at the documents that are currently in the platform. So if you have an outdated document, then Ask Findable will provide you that document, but it will also provide you that the date where it found the information, right? You can say the lease was this amount at this date mark. So, but if you have two leases, for example, if you have an outdated lease and you have a newer lease, then the Ask Findable functionality will likely recognize, okay, we have two very similar leases. One seems to be older, one seems to be newer, and it will understand that, okay, this is likely an updated lease, and provide you the new rent. So I hope that answers your question, Mark. Then what about the question to a multi-unit property at the unit level? Yeah, so this is definitely a case that we've seen from several customers. They basically have a building, and then on the building we have subunits. So basically, the building has a folder structure, and then one folder is unit 1, one folder is unit 2. And to answer that question, we do provide the folder structure to Ask Findable. So if you've organized your documents according to units, either by folder or some other unique property that we can identify, we will be able to ask on the unit level as well. So you can ask that. And then Håkon asks, how is the process of uploading all of the documents to the database? Do you need to manually make every document readable, OCR? That's a very great question, Håkon. So we do OCR, and OCR has been one of our most important focus areas. And the reason for this is that if you don't extract correct text from a document, you're in big trouble, right? All of the downstream functionality will suffer, basically. So that's why OCR is one of our top priorities. And yeah, we do OCR on the documents, basically. Yes, absolutely. And the OCR is very, very good. So I would argue if a human is able to read it, it could be computer written or handwritten, then our OCR will be able to read it. Okay, I see. Maybe yourself. What's your pricing per month? So this depends a bit on your use case, Mark. I would recommend getting in touch with one of our sales people, which I will show you here. So if you scan this QR code, you can send us a message, and if we can discuss like the amount of buildings you have or the use case you have, you want to use workflows a lot, for example, then that might be a bit of a different pricing model. So I recommend simply scanning this QR code. We'll also share all of this information later, and get in touch with you, and get in touch with us, and we'll provide you a response to that, Mark. Let's see. I think that's about it. So, of course, feel free to ask any more questions if you're interested. If not, you can always send me a message on LinkedIn or reach out to Findable through our website. We're going to give you responses as quickly as possible. And I see one more question. He quoted per square foot. Are you asking about pricing when you talk about square foot here, Mark? Yes. Square foot could be, I know that could be a relevant pricing model, but again, I would have to make you ask you to talk to our salespeople. They know more about it than me. I work on the AI side, and I can definitely answer all technical questions that you have. So if you're in the UK, you'll talk to probably Paul, one of our great account executives, and he'll be able to give you a good answer to your question. So I do a lot of technical DD. Do you have a model for this in a project-by-project basis? So can you give me some more details, Håkon, about what you're trying to do when you do technical DD? Do you want to have answers to specific, like, do you want to look through the documents and get specific answers, or? If you can elaborate a bit, that would be great. Yeah, so we can definitely give you an overview of the building on all fronts, but in general, this large language model technology, which we're of course basing Ask Findable on, is best for specific questions. So yes, you can ask to have a general overview of the building, and it will give you a response. But in general, I urge you to be as specific as possible. So if you want to know about the lease contracts, you can ask about them and get great answers about them. If you want to know about the air handlers, you can ask about that specifically, and so on. Yeah. And then Håkon is maybe one final question, and then we'll finish it there. Yeah, just send an email to Wendy. That's great. And if you have any technical questions, Mark, I'll definitely be in touch. So feel free to reach out on any of the fronts. So. Again, Håkon, I think you have to get in touch with one of our salespeople. You can, if you're Norwegian, which I assume, you can get in touch with Håkon, which Wendy sent a mail of. You can just send him an email directly, and then we'll get in touch. Great. Okay, thank you so much. It's been great having you here. I hope to see you all later, and thank you.